Shared service model combines the flexibility of a decentralized model with the cost savings of the centralized model and provides an optimized execution model also. And the characteristics, the key for the shared service model are adaptivity to local needs, cost saving, sharing the best practices, optimized infrastructure, the ability to handle scale of operations, continuous improvement are there. Many vendors also promise a flexible staffing model as part of the shared service setup. Okay, right. The anonymization setup of each department controls the anonymization implementation and operations. Anonymization implementation and operations. Although any specific needs, although any specific needs of the department are handled by the department's own setup. The shared services setup provides the generic anonymization needs of the department as service. Any interaction of the department with the shared services is through the department's own anonymization setup only. Okay. One of the key issues to ponder is the location of the shared service anonymization facility. Uh, if the shared services facility exists outside the country,
is not answering. Please try later. మీరు
okay, one of the key issues to ponder is the location of the shared service anonymization facility. If the shared services facility exists outside the country, a movement of data or even access to production data from the facility is going to hit regularity and hurdles. In that scenario, there is a need to explore shared services for each country. Right here, there is anonymization setup is there for each and every unit. Yeah, this is the different model of there. Tools and technology. Okay, and some of the anonymization tools we are using here. Okay, a tool-based approach to data anonymization can help address the above challenges of and the and provide the following business benefits to the enterprise. Okay, what are the benefits for the enterprise if you are using anonymous tools? It enables data sharing with other teams without the risk of misuse of sensitive information. Okay, enables data sharing with other teams without the risk of misuse of sensitive information. That is, the de-identified data can be shared across the organization for statistical and the other holistic analysis. Okay. Next one enables the enterprise to follow best practices when application development and testing activities are outsourced. Okay, in this, a copy of the production data which are de-identified can be safely shared with the application testing and development teams. Next, cost savings when calculated over a long period. A data masking solution for the enterprise leveraging a data anonymization tool, which is easily customizable, configurable, and supports various platforms, leads to significant cost savings through productivity gains when compared to SQL encryption script-based approach. So, investing in a data masking tool, especially when embarking on enterprise-wide anonymization initiative, is a compulsory. An anonymization tool for an enterprise data anonymization can be selected after a two-stage process, namely shorting a shortlisting of tool for evaluation and selection of the best fit tools. Right. Short listing tool for evaluation. Coming to the first tool, short listing tools for evaluation. The objective of this stage is to shortlist 2 or 3 tools for evaluation. The data anonymization tool market can be broadly classified into 3 categories. First one is the pure play data anonymization tools. Second one is the data anonymization tools that come as part of a test data management suite. Next one is the data anonymization tools that form part of a data management suite of tools. Okay. Next one is the short list can be arrived at okay based on the following questions. What is the purpose of the data anonymization initiative? Okay. Is it for protecting data privacy in non-production environments or even for business process operations and technical support in production environments? Is the data anonymization part of test data management? What tools are already available in the enterprise for test data management? Is the data anonymization part of a larger data management and data security initiatives? What tools are already available in the enterprise for data management and data security? Is the data anonymization exercise being conducted as part of larger regularity compliances initiative such as PCI DSS compliance or HIPAA compliances? Should we pay for a software suite when all we need is one module for the suite? Right. What is the best fit for the larger enterprise initiatives here? Larger enterprise initiatives. Right. Okay. Tool evaluation and selections. The objective of this phase is to select the right tool for the enterprise data anonymization based on detailed evaluation criteria encompassing functional needs, technology and platform needs, and operational needs in addition to cost and vendor relationship. A typical set of capabilities required to be supported by the enterprise anonymization tool is as follows. The functional capabilities. This section provides a list of the functional capabilities expected from the tool to be used for an enterprise data anonymization initiative. First, these are the tools here: functional, technical, operational, and financial. So coming to the functional tools, anonymization tool or algorithms or techniques. Okay, number of masking modes, SQL generation, referential integrity, preservation, supporting features. Okay, it means that the data subsetting testing, data creation, data discovery, data import and export, data cleansing. Yeah, and we need to generate the reports. These are the functionalities generally. Okay, tool evaluation criteria contains that one. Coming to the technical criteria, number of execution modes, commit or rollback, checkpoint, checkpointing, multiple technology and platform support, multiple file support, static and dynamic masking support, performance key management, extensibility and flexibility, integration with the data load process of the unit, logging the error handling, EML and ELM security, that is the authentication authorizations, and configurability. Coming to the operational functionality, there is a training process is there and the flexibility of the tool to modify configurations, integration with the existing data load process. Coming to the financial, licensing policy and cost, licensing in virtualized environment, and next fitment with the budgets. Okay, here some of the algorithms supported. How many algorithms and where the what are the algorithms supported? So what is the cryptographic strength of the algorithms? Okay, for providing security, we need to use the cryptographic algorithms. Okay, next. Are specific algorithm for anonymizing national identification numbers such as SSN numbers or national insurance numbers supported. There are specific algorithm for generating or formatting SSN credit card numbers, address, zip codes, or date of birth, like that. Okay, right. ఇంకా చూడండి ఈ ఫోన్ నీకు ఇప్పుడు కూడా అట్లనే ఏంటి కొనుకొస్తా ఉంటుంది right here, number of masking modes supported. Does it support partial masking or full masking? Consider an example. We may need to mask only the last 4 digits of a credit card number. జనరల్గా ఏంటంటే మన క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్ నెంబర్ కానీ ఎస్ఎస్ఎన్ నెంబర్స్ కానీ లాస్ట్ 4 digits కనిపించడం, రిమైనింగ్ అన్ని మాస్క్ వేయడం, లేదా లాస్ట్ 4 digits మాస్క్ వేసి రిమైనింగ్ వాటిని కనిపించడం, ఇంకా ఇలాంటివి చేస్తూ ఉంటాం. అవన్నీ చూడాలి మనకి ఇక్కడ. అలాంటి టూల్స్ ఏం కావాలని చూడాలి. ఓకే, రైట్. నెక్స్ట్, డస్ ద టూల్ సపోర్ట్ ఇంక్రిమెంటల్ మాస్కింగ్? Okay, if we get a fresh dump of production data and we already have anonymized data up to last week, does the tool provide a facility to have only anonymized data from the last week until today instead of the entire data dump? అంటే లాస్ట్ వీక్ నుంచి ఇప్పుడు వరకు అప్డేట్ చేసిన డేటాను కావాలి మొత్తం డంప్ చేయడం కన్నా కూడా అలాంటి టూల్ ఏమైనా ఉందా లేదా చెక్ చేస్తాం ఒక ఎంటర్ప్రైజ్లో చూసుకుంటే కనుక. రైట్. In the case where we need only the production data from the last few days for, say, testing, does the tool make it possible to have only the Delta records available for masking before moving this Delta data set to the testing environment? This is especially needed where we already have the masked data available for some previous days and a lot of transaction records get generated daily. A custom SQL queries. కస్టమ్ ఎస్క్యూఎల్ క్వరీస్ అంటే మనం స్పెసిఫిక్గా డిఫైన్ చేసేటటువంటి క్వరీస్ అన్నమాట, ఎస్క్యూఎల్ క్వరీస్. రైట్. డస్ ద టూల్ ప్రొవైడ్ సపోర్ట్ ఫర్ generating or writing custom SQL queries? Does the tool support and or R queries as well as a combination of multiple masking techniques? Does the tool provide support for writing pre and post to processing rules? Okay, these are the custom queries. And next one is the referential integrity preservations. Referential integrity preservations ఎలా ఉంటాయి అనేది చూద్దాం. ఇంటిగ్రిటీ ప్రిజర్వేషన్స్ అంటే మనకి ఏంటి, ఆ కండిషన్స్ని ప్రిజర్వ్ అవుతున్నాయా లేదా అని చూడటం. ఓకే, అలాంటి టూల్స్ ఏమైనా ఉన్నాయా లేదా చెక్ చేసుకోవటం. అలా అవుతున్న టూల్స్ని మాత్రం యూజ్ చేస్తాం. డస్ ద టూల్ ప్రిజర్వ్ referential integrity across tables in the same database? What is the approach it supports for maintaining referential integrity across data stores? For example, if I mask the customer name in the input file feed and I also have the same customer name in the database, what is the approach recommended by the tool to ensure the same masked value? Next, what are the auxiliary features are there for data subsetting? Coming to the data subsetting, the tool supports taking only a small data set from the master copy before masking the data. Test data creation. Coming to the second one is the test data creations are there. Do you need to support masking as part of a larger test data management initiatives? Okay, suppose if it is yes, does the tool support creation of test data with all the relationship preserved for the test cases? Next one, the data discovery. Data discovery, does the tool allow discovery of sensitive data across the enterprise? Does the tool allow discovery of relationship from schema? Does the tool allow discovery of relationships between data columns? Okay, many enterprises run on legacy systems and there is no inventory of the files used by the application. Does the tool provide the capability to identify the files used by the application or program? This problem is widespread in enterprises using mainframe systems also. Okay, can the tool discover the structure of a file? Can the tool provide the structure of the tool from a COBOL program or a copybook? Does the tool scan across ports to provide an inventory of where data resides? Coming to the next one is the data import and exports are there. Does the tool allow import and export of sensitive field names? This is especially helpful from a multi-user or enterprise-wide perspective. Can the sensitive domain or field list be imported into the tool? Can the sensitive domains identified in the first application, that is anonymized, be exported onto the enterprise sensitive domain field or list? Okay, does the tool provide an export of selected masked records in an Excel sheet for a limited number of records? Data cleansing. The original data set may have some bad data that need cleansing. Does the tool support cleaning of bad data? Next, reports supported. Does the tool provide reports about the operational details of anonymization in terms of who masked what field, when and using what techniques? Does the tool report the list of fields masked per application per data store? Coming to the technical capabilities, okay, this section provides a list of the technical capabilities expected from the tool to be used for an enterprise data anonymization initiatives. Right, number of execution modes supported online and offline batch wise are something. The commit and rollback is there. Okay, checkpointing is also available. Multiple technology and platform supports here. Right. Right, coming to the anonymization implementation activities and efforts. The anonymization implementation activities for an application. Here is a breakdown of the various activities involved as part of the anonymization implementation for an application. The activities have been grouped based on the teams performing these activities. Application anonymization analysis and design. These activities would typically be performed by the anonymization implementation team. The implementation team identifies the data sources, stores and sinks of the application, and proceeds with a detailed sensitive analysis of these. Based on an analysis of the existing application architecture, the anonymization solution is arrived at. The objective is to arrive at the best fit solution for integrating the data anonymization process into the existing application's data management process, considering the environment as well as the non-functional requirements under which the solution has to function. The availability of application documentation is a key deciding factor for estimating the effort spent on these activities. Okay, these activities would typically be performed by the information technology infrastructure team and not the anonymization implementation team. Okay, the objective is to create optimal anonymization environment for the applications. Most of the time, the anonymization environment setup is about securing the existing test environment and may not need too much effort if only a static environment is needed. However, when an integration test environment is required, the effort involves setting up a new environment. Right. Application anonymization configuration and build. These activities would be performed by the anonymization implementation team. The objective here is to create the anonymized data for the application by implementing the recommended solution using the anonymization tool in the environment setup for anonymization. These activities must ensure the seamless integration of the anonymization solution with the application data flow. The capabilities are the familiarity of the anonymization team with the tool as well as the application technology, and the customization needed for the tool also affect the effort estimates. Right, anonymized application testing. These activities activities would typically be performed by the application testing team. The anonymization effort for the application is deemed to be ready only after the application testing team validates that the use of anonymized data has not changed the behavior of the applications. This is done by the application team testing the application with anonymized data. This would typically need about 2 or 3 rounds of testings. Okay, here the complexity criteria. The complexity of anonymization implementation varies based on the application characteristics and the environment dependencies. Application characteristics. The anonymization implementation effort depends on the following characteristics of the application. Okay, coming to the first one, the quantitative parameters. Quantitative matters, the key consideration would be from how many data stores does the application use data, how many tables and files, messages, and the uh, contain sensitive information. Okay, suppose if the data stores maintain referential integrity with each other, the tool must be capable of supporting cross data store referential integrity. Referential integrity. The data store technology used. The tool needs to support anonymization of data in relevant technology. Tool support for legacy technology is a challenge. Right, next, age of application. The anonymization of legacy applications typically needs more effort as it is difficult to find the files being handled by the application. Lack of documentation of these applications leads to difficulties in identifying the format structure of these files. Okay, standalone versus integrated applications. The integration approach between the application in scope and upstream or downstream applications is an important factor in deciding the anonymization approach, that is, whether static masking or dynamic masking is to be used. Okay, the number of integration interfaces for the system, okay, as well as the number of upstream and downstream applications impacts the anonymization effort in a big way. This holds good especially when an integration test is to be performed using anonymized data. For such cases, we would need an automated integration test environment. Coming to the availability of documentation, lack of application documentation has the potential to impede the progress of anonymization. Environment dependencies. The anonymization implementation effort also depends on the following environmental dependencies of the applications. Okay. Number of servers available for anonymization environment. First, we need to know that. Okay, the creation of a separate environment for anonymization needs time. An application's anonymization implementation can be deemed to be complete for operational purpose after testing of the application with anonymized data. Right, most service providers and tool vendors will not be able to provision this effort as part of their estimates from implementation, and it is up to the IT department or application owner to provision this environment. Some of the considerations include a virtualized environment or procurement of any hardware and software needed for the anonymized environment. The anonymized environment needs to be ready for each application before testing of the application with the anonymized data. Coming to the security controls, the anonymization environment would generally lie inside the firewall, and security controls for this environment would be similar to that of a high security environment. The effort also needs to be provisioned for testing the tool in the controlled anonymized environment. So coming to the arriving at an effort estimation model. Okay, right. Arriving at an effort estimation model for anonymization implementation would involve the following steps: a definition of the complexity criteria, ready reckoner preparation, and determination of the complexity of the application to be anonymized, assignment of effort to each activity based on the ready reckoner. Both the complexity criteria and ready reckoner need to be the defined only once and can be reused for all applications. Based on experience, the ready reckoner can be fine-tuned for accuracy purpose only. So coming to the estimation approach, in order to arrive at a ballpark estimation for the implementation effort across the enterprise, let's follow the standard steps, namely arriving at a repeatable complexity criteria, deriving a repeatable ready reckoner, identifying the complexity of the application, arriving at the detailed estimate. The repeatable complexity criteria can be arrived at based on the number of sensitive tables, names of the input files that are sensitive, and number of output files that are sensitive. Okay, these criteria will help in grouping the applications into very low complexity. Okay, low complexity, medium complexity, high complexity, or very high complexity buckets are there. Typically, a very low complexity application has less number of sensitive tables and no sensitive input files or output files, no upstream applications and no downstream applications with which it exchanges data. As the complexity level increases, the number of tables with sensitive data, number of input and output files with sensitive data, as well as the number of sensitive upstream and downstream applications increases. A ready reckoner can be created to a map of effort needed for each of the application anonymized implementation activities against different complexity levels. Okay. The application characteristics of loan Adam. ఓకే ఒక దానికి క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్స్ చూస్తున్నారు లోన్ యాడమ్ అనేది ఇట్ మే కంటైన్స్ 100 tables, no upstream or downstream applications, no input or output files for this one. Okay, let us assume that the sensitivity ratio based on the average is less than 20%. Thus, for this application, the number of sensitive tables is less than 20 only. Taking into consideration the other parameters, we can safely assume that this is an application of very low complexity. అంటే మనకి టేబుల్స్ ఉన్న డేటాలో 20% డేటానే మనకి సెన్సిటివ్ డేటా కంటైన్ చేస్తుంది. సో కాంప్లెక్సిటీ ఈజ్ ద లో కాంప్లెక్సిటీ అని చెప్తాం. Coming to the arriving at a ballpark estimate. For this sample application based on the ready reckoner, the tool effort would be the sum of the application anonymization analysis and design activities effort, application anonymization build and configuration effort, anonymized application testing effort, and anonymization environment support effort for a very low complexity applications. The anonymization environment setup can be accomplished in parallel before the anonymization build and configuration activities and will be performed by mostly the organization own IT team. Okay, and the start to end elapsed duration of the project can be adjusted accordingly. To arrive at the estimate for the enterprise sensitive application portfolio across the enterprise, we would need to distribute uh, the applications across various complexity levels and then arrive at the total estimate. Okay, the next wave of data privacy challenges. Right here, the some of the patterns are there. Okay, coming to the data anonymization patterns. Okay, in pattern overview. In case you, as a data anonymization practitioner, have directly jumped onto this concept only. Okay, right here. There are various patterns for implementing data masking. Uh, these patterns can be categorized into data state pattern, patterns to anonymize different types of non-production environments, and patterns to anonymize flow of sensitive data between different environments. A, a complete data anonymization solution would typically be a composite mix of pattern categories. There are three patterns are there here. Okay, anonymization patterns, three pattern overviews are there. Okay, here anonymization pattern, coming to the data state, environment, data flow is there. Hierarchy. Okay, coming to the data state, there is a static and dynamic data states are there. Coming to the environment, there is a patterns for standalone environment, and there is a pattern for integration test environment. Coming to the data flow, patterns to anonymize data flow between databases across the environments. Okay, patterns to anonymize sensitive files moving across environments. Okay, coming to the static, there is a extract anonymize load. Extract load anonymize. Dynamic inception and invocation is there. Okay, coming to the patterns for integration test environment. Okay, patterns for scale down integration test environment. Patterns for automated integration test also. Okay, data state anonymization patterns. The principle of anonymization. The key anonymization principles can be divided into mandatory optional principles. Mandatory anonymization principles are preferential integrity of the data set must be preserved after anonymization. The data type of the anonymized data must be the same as the input data. The optional anonymization principles are anonymized data need to be realistic. Length of anonymized data must match the length of the input data only. A format of the anonymized data must match that of the input data. Static masking patterns. Okay, coming to the static masking patterns, static masking are the anonymization of data at rest typically includes anonymization of data in databases or static files using different anonymization techniques is there. Application developers, testers like to use production data for their applications because this increases the probability of detecting issues that can potentially occur in production only. The static masking pattern fits in directly with the requirements where the production database of the application has to made available to development and test environments after anonymizing sensitive data. The patterns used for generating anonymized data using static masking include the extract, anonymize, load pattern. Extract, load, anonymize patterns only. Static masking is used mostly for anonymizing data for non-production use case such as application development and testing only. Extract, anonymize, load patterns are this pattern is used when data in production databases are required for application development or for testing only. Data are extracted from production, anonymized, and loaded into the targeted database. This is typically done as a batch operation. Most often, only the incremental data are anonymized. There are operational challenges in leveraging this pattern as many enterprises do not allow any applications to connect to the production database unless mandatory for production operation as part of their security policies. Many enterprises adopt a variation of the EAL pattern for creating an anonymized replica for non-production users. Here, a file extract is created from the production database. This file is then anonymized and loaded onto the non-production databases. Extract load anonymous pattern. Most organizations don't allow connections of external tools directly to the production database. Instead, a copy of production database is provided for non-production purposes such as application development or maintenance and testing activities purpose only. Anonymization of sensitive data being performed on a copy of the production database is an example of ELA pattern. This is an easier approach for anonymization operationally, but care needs to be taken to ensure that the copy of the production database is not available for the non-production usage inadvertently without anonymization. Data subsetting. Data subsetting is largely used in association with static masking. As the data in the production database keep growing, it becomes expensive to provision similar infrastructure for the various testing environments, and hence test environments generally have a scaled down infrastructure. In order to ensure that the quality of testing does not suffer due to scaled down infrastructure, data subsetting is increasingly being adapted. Data subsetting is the process of creating a subset of production data relevant to the test cases being executed. The subset can be created either based on subsetting criteria, which can be date, range, or any other dimensions or rule, but the key requirement is that referential integrity must still be preserved. For example, if we need to test the largest upgrade to a customer transaction system, the data subset should contain not only the customer records or the specified data range, but also the related customer transaction records also. What are the benefits for getting this one? Data subsetting provides substantial cost savings, especially the cost of the data storage. Let's assume the following about the customer's transaction system whose upgrade needs to be tested. The production database has grown to 1 TB. The enterprise software development lifecycle policy mandates that any application upgrade needs to be tested in four different environments. That is the integrated test environment, performance and acceptance and functional. Okay. If data subsetting is not used, then the storage needs for testing would be 1 TB for each environment. That is a total of 4 TB of storage only. If data subsetting is adapted, then the total storage required is drastically reduced. The storage needs would be 1 TB for the master anonymized copy and a few gigabytes of data each environment. This would be substantially less than the 4 TB of data requirement. Dynamic masking. Although static masking broadly solves the problem of desensitizing production data for non-production purpose, it is not a good fit for preventing misuse of data in a production environment. Role-based authorization can be used if an application is used as the interface to the user and the application prevents the data from appearing on the screens based on the user's role. But again, this does not work for the scenarios such as the preventing misuse of data DBS, technical support personnel who may directly connect to the databases. Okay, whenever the required solution is to ensure that the data in the underlying data store are unchanged, but the data are changed or desensitized when the user views them, dynamic masking is the right fit. Dynamic masking is the anonymization of data in motion. Okay, dynamic masking patterns. Dynamic masking can be achieved through an invasive approach. A non-invasive approaches are there. Invasive and non-invasive approaches are there. Okay, tomorrow we will discuss about these things. Right, dynamic masking patterns. Dynamic masking can be achieved through an invasive approach, which requires a code change. A non-invasive approach, which is more of a configuration change. Okay, right. Invasive approach nothing but that we need to change in the code only. Non-invasive approach is nothing but that okay, just you need to configure the changes. Okay. Right. Suppose there is an user, there is an interface is there, one database is there here. Okay, anonymized values will come from the databases. Here, yeah, Don is there. In place of Don, there is a Jim is come. Jim will come here. Okay, this is the anonymized data only. This is not an actual data. Okay. Yeah, an interception pattern is an example of a non-invasive approach, and an invocation of an anonymization library is a case of an invasive approach. Dynamic masking is increasingly being used for the following scenarios: a business process outsourcing, technical support outsourcing, preventing privileged users such as DBAs from viewing sensitive data. Right. Interception patterns. In the sample layered architecture, okay, shown in the diagram, the presentation layer can either be a web-based application or a desktop applications. This one. Okay, here you need to see here there is a database is there, data access layer, business layer, web services, okay, presentation layers. There is an application user is there. Okay, this is the architecture of sample application. Right. In this interception pattern, data are anonymized by either intercepting the data at the presentation layer, the data layer, or even at the service layer. The use of a masking interceptor requires a technology or protocol that allows proxies to be generated. While the HTTP based interceptions need to code changes in the application, there would be a need to reconfigure the application to enable the request and response to pass through the masking interceptor. Also, the masking interceptor may have to be customized extensively. Data layer interception would leverage a masking interceptor, which is more like a database proxy through which any database query has to pass through. The query coming in is transformed by the data layer interceptor as per the configured rules, and the sensitive feeds returned as part of the query results are anonymized. This approach does not need any code change in the application and can be applied to business process outsourcing, production support scenarios, or privileged user anonymization scenarios, as well as for data movement from production to non-production environments. While the data layer interceptors need to code changes in the application and are mostly out of the box implementations, they may not be able to support multiple database technologies and data sources like fields and messages and queues. This pattern is slowly gaining adoption among large enterprises, and there are commercial tools available in the market. The approach for intercepting data thus varies based on the architecture as well as the technology shown in the table. This table. Okay, when should interception patterns be selected and on what basis? Okay, this table, coming to this table, architecture layers, dynamic making patterns, yes, selection criteria, sir. Coming to the first point, web-based user interface as presentation layer. Okay, web services, business layer, data access layer, database. Okay, web-based user interface as presentation layer, business layer, access layer, database. Web-based user interface as presentation layer, business layer, data access, and data layer are combined. Okay, web-based applications, but approach is not implemented. The presentation layer, business layer, data access layer, yeah, functionalities are well combined. A client server application without layers, client server application with presentation layer, service layer, business layer, and data access layers are there. Okay, coming to here, dynamic masking patterns and HTTP interaction, okay, web service interactions, data layer interaction, HTTP presentation layer interception, a selection criteria pattern selected based on ease of effort and technology supports by the system. Okay, in the table, some of the entries in the architectural layers, okay, column have